AATBirds Weekly Report is the Eagle news, notes, and analysis you need. All about the birds, all birds, all the time.
And here we go, back week 2 of Eagles training camp. On the training camp flow, it's kind of great because we got all these news and nuggets throughout the week that we put into the show to be able to, discuss it. And of course, you and I go back and forth, and with every single post, essentially, too, we share the same post without even realizing. That's how quick it is. Usually it takes like a minute or two. We're just like, but how are we doing tonight? And
we're doing well.
You excited for next week at this time? We'll be right before the Eagles' first preseason game.
Yeah, isn't that sweet? This went fast. I know we were talking about it last week. It's like it felt like it took forever, but it also flew by. I don't know how else to explain it, but
you know what? That's a pretty good thing to put it. It took forever, but it flew by, because it is true. Like the last month has been kind of like dragging, just because there's nothing that happens. There's no type of practices or anything. But when you really look at the lead up after they win the Super Bowl, there's so much free agency, the draft, everything that goes on, and with playing so late in the year, that month break, you're like, oh man, it's good. But then you really think about it, it really isn't good, because you want more news. You want, you're filled with that, all that news and notes and drama, not essentially drama, but like you get the rumors, and this guy could sign here, trade with him, this, that. So I'm kind of glad it's back. You get all that, especially the training camp stuff.
We both nerd out on that part of the season, though. Like I really do enjoy like free agency and the draft, and like how are they gonna fill these needs, and how are they gonna use these resources, and what's the team gonna look like, and UDFAs, and it's just like I do enjoy that part of the season, but like we're 75% of the way there of like what this team's gonna look like week 1. Obviously it's ever evolving. We get Brett Toth will be on and off the roster for the next 6 months, but like Julian Vandervelde.
I was about to say that.
Yeah. But we're starting to see what the roster is going to look like. I know we're going to try to get into the 53 today, I think, a little bit, if we have time. And I'll tell you, it's a little bit harder this year than I think it was last year. And I don't know if that's because there's less certainty at certain positions, or because the depth is so good.
So to kind of, go back a little bit, like what you said with, you have the free agency and the undrafted free agents, the draft, all that stuff that comes into play. But you kind of look at it into this period of time, into the preseason games. We're looking at the roster, and you're seeing, you and I are sending each other all these injuries that are happening, and you're looking at teams rosters and thinking, things are changing now. You have guys who are getting hurt, who are going to play a lot of snaps, or was supposed to play a lot of snaps, that aren't going to be either starting the season on the roster, or not going to be playing this season, and where the team's going to fill those voids. And you look into that, and you look at the veteran free agent market, and of course we'll get into a little bit with that when we start getting into camp battles and the position and some of the players and everything along the lines of that. But I think it's really true. Like we look at all the beginning free agency and everything that goes into play, but we also look into the roster construction when we're looking into the preseason, and how is this guy going to fit? And it brings everything to a head when you talk about the 53-man roster and how we kind of look at the positions and who's going to kind of fit where, and what are we going to do along the lines of that. And the first thing I want to bring up is, you talking about that, and it goes to of the roster itself. When you look at some of these injuries, like I'm not really the Nolan Smith and the Devontae and the Zach Bond, because some of that stuff, okay. But like
not really
the
worried about
Makuba
them.
thing, the Makuba missing the last number of practices now with a shoulder injury,
Yeah.
what do you really have there? And we kind of touched on it last week as well about that position and the depth of it and kind of where they're at. And to me, like you look at the position essentially in free agency, the veterans that are available, and we keep circling back to Justin Simmons, knowing the defense already, playing with Vic. He's not the Justin Simmons of 4 or 5 years ago, but he's still a serviceable quality player.
Right.
Listen, this isn't signing Sean Jones back in 2009 when they let go of Doc,
which I thought was going to be an awesome signing, by the way. I was actually kind of pumped about him.
So was I. But you look at that, and the injuries are a big time aspect of it. Especially with a rookie, you're missing all this time. It is crucial to be able to be on that field, to know what you're doing and knowing everything that's going on.
Yeah, and we talked about that last week, where Vic specifically is hesitant to play players that miss time, right? Like we saw that with Coop, and quite honestly, I don't think Coop would have played if it wasn't for Maddox getting a little banged up and struggling so much. I think Vic would have been fine not putting him on the field in week 6, but like out of necessity, it happened, and obviously it was a great decision. But we talked about this a couple times, both in our private chat and on the show here, that Makuba is a great pick, right? At least I thought so. And from a schematic perspective, he makes a ton of sense. He's very similar from a skill set. Hear me. From a skill set perspective, he's very similar to CJGJ, right? He has that nickel background. He who transitioned to safety. He excels at safety. Gives you a little bit of positional versatility. However, he is a rookie. And so our concern coming into the season was, well, let me rewind that. The best case scenario was Makuba takes time learning in the wings and plays when he's ready, a la Cooper DeJean, and a veteran starts the season, right? And my thinking all along has been Justin Simmons almost makes too much sense in that role, because I don't think Sidney Brown has grabbed it by the horns. I don't feel great about a guy like Lewis Seen or McCollum or someone like that. Like
Andre Sam.
Yeah, I mean, they're all fine players, right? And they're great on special teams. They're great back end of the roster guys that can play in a blowout or if you're really desperate. But the ideal state would be that someone really grabs that safety 2 position next to Reed, and Makuba has his time to play in dime, right? As that second nickel and dime. I'm a little concerned at this point about that safety position, both from a starting perspective and the depth.
Yeah, and I'll even throw it further. When we're talking about uncertainty and what's going on and everything, the cornerback 2 position. You have the Ringo and the Adoree Jackson, basically competition right now. And we've talked about certain players we look at of maybe if those guys aren't playing well, maybe getting somebody on the end of a rookie deal. One of those players, Greg Newsome, we talked about. Not so sure that's going to come to fruition with Martin Emerson rupturing his Achilles. So, that seems to have closed that window. And of course, you have the Miami Dolphins losing a bunch of corners, whether it's trading Jalen Ramsey or losing a couple guys and then signing, Mike Hilton and Jack Jones and having Storm Duck as like your guys. Like, also hear me out here. I'm bringing those teams up, especially the Miami Dolphins aspect of it is, when you look at the Eagles and what about a player like, if a player on the outside looking in like an Eli Ricks, potentially if he isn't going to stay on the roster and you can somewhat deal him to a team like that and get a late round draft pick or something of value, you definitely can see it, especially with all the injuries that are happening. Eagles' division rival, Dallas Cowboys. Teron Diggs probably won't start the year. Probably start on PUP just because he's coming back from a serious injury. Kalen Carson, who was going to get a lot of time, he's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. So that's 2 corners that they're going to be missing there. And then,
Bland.
Bland, but Ravel is
Did you see that video?
coming back from ACL, and then he's limping and everything. Like,
I don't know for anybody who didn't see that video.
It was bad.
It was kind of hard to watch. Ravel was regarded as a round 1 prospect, tore his ACL in the beginning part of this last season for
Plus, he was an older prospect, so with him tearing ACL, East Carolina. He was also an older prospect, so with the being an older prospect, him tearing his ACL, I think he's 24, going to be 25.
Yeah. But the Cowboys are desperate at that position, and they're forcing him essentially ahead of schedule, and it's rough. It's rough to watch, man. The kid's limping. I'm a little concerned for his career, to be honest with you. But to that point, we're sitting here like bitching about cornerback 2 and like, oh man, which one of these like legitimate starters is going to start for us? Where there are teams in like absolute purgatory. So I guess to your point, like put it in perspective, could be worse. But it's obviously, I think regardless of who starts there, it's going to be a downgrade from 2024 Slay.
Yeah. Cause you really look at it too, like what they have. And Slay was getting older and everything, but it's going to be a step down. Now we have to just see if they can somewhat weather the storm in terms of looking at who basically breaks out.
You know what? I feel like I'd feel better about that position if the second safety was a little more solidified. You know what I mean? Like I almost feel like I feel like there's two positions in flux that like if Makuba becomes a player we think he's going to be, or Sidney Brown steps up and he's an all-pro, I think that helps your deficiencies at corner.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But if you're having a deficiency at corner and some sort of uncertainty at safety, it is a little concerning. They got to nail one of these spots. It doesn't necessarily have to be both, but they have to nail one of them. And
like, that's where I keep coming up with, like, just think that they add from the outside for that cornerback too. I don't see Ringo or Jackson really. Well, I don't know. It's just a feeling I have, and I've had it. I mentioned it. I think it was maybe a week ago, if not 2 weeks ago. I mentioned it already. That's just early. I think it was last week, early in camp. This is just what I think. I just think that they're going to add some, whether it's a veteran free agent or whether it's through trade.
Right.
Like Vic's comments on Adoree Jackson was interesting. Like he's not gonna sugarcoat anything. He said he needs to show who he is or who he's not. Didn't sound like he really wanted him. He said how he wants somebody, he goes and gets them. But
so he didn't even watch his tape.
He didn't even watch his tape.
And then talk about how he like wasn't re-signed by his last 2 teams. Like it was actually kind of a brutal aside there from Vic. But so you think they're more likely to add a corner than a safety? Because I feel the opposite, and I'll tell you why. And I think the only option at safety is Simmons. Right? Like assuming he doesn't sign somewhere. He knows the system, he's plug and play. It gives Makuba time to focus on dime and then start when he's ready. He's kind of that bridge player. Whereas at corner, I really think they want Ringo to grab that position.
I wouldn't disagree with you. I think they want Ringo to take that role. And I think too, like the Simmons maybe the only thing. And the thing is, the expectations of it is like they sign him, cool, got a vet. My feeling on it is like if they were to get him, I'm just going to expect Kevin Byard. That's just
which I think is fine at this point. To be honest with you, like I don't think they don't need a 6 pick CJGJ. I think they just need someone that's not going to screw up, that's not going to miss assignments. You know what I mean? Like they need someone that is going to be where they need to be when they need to be there, so that the corners don't have to overcompensate. And I think that's why Simmons makes so much sense to me. I feel like he's just a safe pick. Whereas I don't know, given the state of the league, I don't know where you're going to find a CB2 that's better than what you have now, other than maybe Asante Jr., who is potentially going to miss a year with a neck injury. Like I don't know how healthy he is, but
Yeah.
I feel like it's an easier position to replace. Not saying it's easy, but I'm just saying I feel like the options are more adequate at a safety than they are at a starting boundary corner.
Yeah. And listen, like, when we look at the defense, I want to go defense here. We'll talk about the offense next. I don't want to jump offense, defense. Stick with the defense. We started talking about that first. Campbell looking good, having some nice plays. Struggle a little bit with the running backs, but again, that's basically the biggest mismatch, one-on-one with the running back, in open field. So, listen, he's looking good for somebody that I wasn't expecting him to be starting camp at all. I thought maybe you could see him towards the middle of camp, maybe showing something, but it's good to see him out there. Moro Ojomo has been jumping off the page,
dude.
And
that's the two of them. So 1 point on Campbell before we move on. The reports out of camp are that he did struggle a bit with running backs in one-on-one drills, which is, I mean, they're set up for the running back to win that. But and we don't really play a ton of man with our linebackers anyway. It's mainly zone. But he was apparently unstoppable in pass rush drills. And I don't know if that says more about the lack of pass pro with our running backs or the fact that he's unstoppable. But like that was one of his stronger traits, right? Was the pass rushing chops. So that was a fun update to hear there. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that was great to hear. And on the Ojomo side, like having him play the way he plays, his ticking percentage is going to go up. We know that with Milton Williams leaving, going to New England on that free agent deal. Ojomo is the guy to get a lot of snaps, and so is Jordan Davis. So, like, it's really good. And for him to get praise from Vic means he's really showing him something.
And not just like the normal Vic where he's like, yeah, he's fine. Like if Vic says he's fine, he's doing fine. He's good. Like that to me means like, oh, like you're borderline all pro. Like if that's the feedback you get from Vic went out of his way to be like, he proved that he could do it last year. He did it at a high level. He's doing it again this year. I mean, he went out of his way to praise him, and not just the normal, he's fine. So that was noteworthy to me. And I've seen a lot of people saying, oh, well, he's going against Steen. Like, of course he's going to, like, Steen's had a really good camp too. And we'll get into that in a bit, but he was also torturing Dickerson.
Yeah.
3 straight Pro Bowls, borderline all pro guard. And, this Moro Ojomo is giving him fits. So it's not just Steen that he's picking on. He's apparently been picking on the entire offensive line, which is super encouraging.
And that's a great thing too. But like the other thing I want to bring up, and it kind of goes back to my, with having corners and potentially a guy that may not make the roster, like an Eli Ricks, that you can then deal to a team that needs a corner. Yeah. Mac McWilliams is having a pretty good camp. I keep hearing his name. The play against Johnny Wilson, which is huge because Johnny Wilson is massive at like 6'6", 6'7".
8 inches on Mac. 8 inches.
So something like that, he's really sneaky. We talked about him during the draft. If he really can keep ascending his play, and it's really going to open up things for this defense.
Yeah.
If he's able to do what he's doing early in camp here.
Well, and I just want to say, like, I'm gonna pat ourselves on the back here. Like, we were all in on Mac McWilliams as a later round prospect when we were doing our draft show. Mm-hmm. He was a stud at the Senior Bowl. Super sticky. The concern there was that he was an outside corner only, pretty much exclusively at UCF. And he this week, Vic was actually saying that he's been doing really well inside and out, which is
Always good.
huge, because Vic is not a big will cross train guys. Like, he wants you to learn one position and then go from there. But the fact that he's been able to do that and do it at a, again, getting praise from Vic, that's a super good sign. I'm really bullish on Mac McWilliams.
Yeah, and then taking a look at the edge rushers, like, nobody's really stood out, but like, I'm really interested to see come the preseason, like guys like Uche and Ojulari and Obukwangwo. I don't even. Whatever.
I just call him Obo. They call him Obo. So that's
that's better. But like, seeing those guys and seeing what they can do on the edge, because I don't really think that's a position they're going to try and add. I think it's going to be either safety or corner, adding either a trade or a free agent. That's just
100% agree.
Like,
I think. Yeah, go ahead.
Unless there's injuries that they need to go out and get a veteran, because there are some veteran edge rushers still there. Zadarius Smith, Matt Judon. There's still some players there. If there's an injury or a couple guys are just absolutely terrible, then maybe they go for a veteran. But I don't see anything as of right now. I think they're going to kind of go with what they have and see if any of these guys basically stick out.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think I don't want to say it's funny, because concussions aren't funny, but I think it's interesting that Nolan got a concussion before we even put pads on. That just shows like the energy that he plays with all the time, regardless of whether or not they're in shells or not. I will say that Jalix is getting a ton of hype, both internally and externally. Mailata said that he's going to be super special. I've heard good things about him, not only against the pass, but in the run fits as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was having a conversation on X. I don't know if it was this week or last week, about Uche and Ojulari. Ojulari has always been considered kind of a liability in the run game. I was actually surprised when comparing Uche and Ojulari to how much better Uche graded out both against the run and the pass. And we're hearing that in camp. Like, that's an accurate transition into real life here at Eagles training camp. Uche has been, from all accounts, an impressive pass rusher. And one thing that's been popping out are the comments about his coverage. Right. So like here with Vic, our edge, or Sam, whatever you want to call it, is expected to drop into coverage at times. We've seen Brandon Graham covering slot receivers, right? Like, it's going to happen. They need them to be able to do that based on their alignments and not being caught, sleeping. So the fact that he was able to show out in coverage was a huge sign. And I think that's going to go a million miles with Vic, as opposed to someone like a Bryce Huff, right?
Yeah.
So those three have kind of solidified themselves, I think, as the top three. It's going to be that edge 4 and 5 that are going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch too. We'll see what comes of those guys. Even throw in Patrick Johnson.
Well, I was just going to say, you need to account for special teams.
Yeah, because he's been here before. He was here last year before he was cut. So
yeah.
Let's transition over to the offensive side of the ball now.
Let's do it.
And I think some of the things here is two things here. The second center needs to be figured out. We need to get that situated and that settled, because that's going to be, it's huge. We don't want to have what happened last year. You signed Nick Gates and he really isn't anything that you needed, and you really almost borderline unplayable. And then you have to have Landon.
They thought so too.
What?
They thought so too.
Yeah, exactly.
Inactive most of the year. Yeah.
You have the center 2 position, and then you have, if you really look at it, you have Dallas Goedert and what? So, these two things now, listen, like I know Calcaterra stepped up and everything. Again, they're not going to keep just one tight end, but with them signing all of these tight ends, I think it is absolutely up in the air to see what exactly they want to do. And do they go and they, you have a free agent in Noah Fant out there. You have some guys like a Michael Mayer from Vegas and some potential candidates to be a decent backup to Goddard that you have that could, give you some playing time. But again, they did sign Kylan Granson. They have Harrison Bryant. And of course, they have a bunch of other guys along with, Grant Calcaterra.
But none of those guys really have a contract that says like you're guaranteed to be here.
No, they don't.
I think Howie did a good job of like throwing darts just to see if something pops. Let's not forget about Jenkins, right? You still have EJ Jenkins who did prove that he can play. I think they're super bullish on him enough to keep him all year and activate him at one point. My question there is, we've seen, and this was more, I think, in the Reed era maybe, but I've seen times where they've gone 2 tight ends.
Yeah.
Or, 2 running backs or 3 running backs, right? They've gone lighter at other positions. And they can now do that with the practice squad rules. I think they have a little bit more flexibility. And I don't think it would be super hard to sneak a lot of these tight ends onto the practice squad. So my question there is like Dallas and Calcaterra, they're locks. There's no doubt in my mind that those are your top 2 tight ends. Their third tight end in the offense, and we've talked about this before, but their third tight end in the offense is generally like an H-back.
Could be BVS.
I wouldn't be surprised if they leverage a guy like BVS to, kill 2 birds with 1 stone and play fullback and that third tight end in a pinch. So I wouldn't, I'm just going to say it now for the record. I would not be shocked if they go light at tight end and sneak some guys on the practice squad because
you can always call guys up. So if you wanted the first 2 games of the year, you could call guys up as a third tight end and special teamer if you really wanted to.
You have EJ Jenkins as your tight end 3. I think he's going to be the tight end 3, maybe Harrison Bryant, but I think Jenkins is probably the front runner for that spot if I had to guess. You keep him on the practice squad, maybe 2 tight ends on the practice squad because Howie loves his tight ends. And then someone goes down and you have an extra spot, you call up your third tight end.
Yeah, well, again, that position is definitely one to keep an eye on as it comes to the preseason and seeing how it plays out.
That center, though, we need to figure that out.
Yeah, center big time.
The Brett Toth experiment needs to be squashed, bro. Like, I don't –
Yeah.
They obviously love him as a person first and foremost. I don't know
at this point just cut him and put him on the practice squad because no one's going to claim him. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean the Cardinals did last year, right? I don't get it. I mean, he gives you versatility to an extent, but like he's not giving you any meaningful skill set at any of those positions. Maybe guard. Maybe tackle, but like center, he's like 6'7". Yeah. Like he's not a center. The shotgun snaps are going to get someone killed in a real game. They need to figure that out. They need Drew Kendall to take it over because you cannot have Dickerson sliding in at center again.
Yeah. Yeah. You need to rectify that position. Hopefully Drew Kendall can take it over and, be able to take that position. Like, Tyler Steen, the right guard position, seems like he's essentially locking that down.
Stout had some amazing things to say about him.
Yeah, so like Tyler Steen, and then of course you're looking at, I laughed at the acquisition of Matt Pryor, but he may be a veteran on there that could help you in a pinch if you need to, and he could play multiple positions. Yeah. And it's crazy because when they signed him, I thought about it, and I'm like, when was the last time a player was signed by the team that he was drafted by, and his first game on each of those teams, he watches a banner drop that he wasn't a part of?
Matt Pryor.
It's interesting because he got drafted in 2018, week 1 against Atlanta. Watched a banner drop for the Super Bowl 52 champion Eagles, and then this If he makes the roster, of course. He may
Yeah.
not make the roster, so that may not matter. But if he makes the roster, he'll be watching the banner drop for the Super Bowl 59 champion Eagles. It's just
Pretty
it's a
wild.
crazy. That is a question that's going to go down. You're going to hear that come up.
Yeah.
If he makes the roster, it is an absolute crazy question and a
That is
crazy
pretty
type
cool.
of trivia. I
Now-
always think about that.
That is pretty sweet. You always have the best little nuggets. Let me ask you this. So as you're looking at the 53, that guard spot, by all intents and purposes, is locked, right? You have left guard Dickerson, you have right guard Steen. And again, we have a whole preseason to go through, but like, I'm not sure you know enough about who's backing them up, right? Like, we just talked about Pryor, and Keegan's only a left guard. They're trying him at center, and I got a feeling it's not going to stick. You have I think Darian Kennard is making a strong case to stick on the roster as a guard tackle kind of guy, right? He's kind of a younger version of Pryor.
I think you're right in the fact that, like, when we watch these backups, the offensive line play in the preseason, it's going to be very interesting to see, one, what the combos are, and two, who stands out and who disappoints. Because, as we mentioned too, you mentioned Drew Kendall, but there's also Miles Hinton, and you also have Cameron Williams. Like, they're going to have a phantom IR of one of these guys. It's going to happen.
Cam Williams is going to phantom IR. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens this week. He's apparently been absolutely abysmal.
Yeah. So need some time. So essentially that, but it's going to be interesting to see who plays where, who plays when, and who struggles and who doesn't struggle. It's going to be interesting to see who, with that pecking order of the backup offensive linemen, and who come out on top of that and make the roster.
Well, your boy Holland Pierce is getting guard reps.
That's right. I forgot to mention Holland Pierce.
So
listen, they were able to do it with a big guy in Mekhi Becton.
Yeah.
Who says that Pierce can't be that?
Little different from an athletic profile, but
I would agree with you with that. Yes,
but size wise, it's been done. I mean, he's athletic for his size. Becton's just a freak.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But I think that guard, the offensive line is a little less stable than we like to admit. Like, I think there's a lot of uncertainty in that
a ton of uncertainty.
That second and third line. I'd be interested to see, and when I'm looking at the 53, it's like, do I keep 8? Because 2 or 3 of those guys have multi-positional versatility, or do I keep 9 for the same reason, or do I go 10 and get a little bit more niche, try to sneak guys onto the roster to avoid waivers? Like, there's a lot of I think that position is probably the hardest to sort through when looking at the composition of the 53, in my opinion.
It's going to be interesting how it plays out. It's going to be very. I don't know how it's going to shake out. That's one of the biggest things. Like, usually we kind of know.
Yeah,
there may be a spot here or there, but to me, it's like pretty up in the air because you just don't know yet, and there's a lot of youth on the back end and everything. The backups, but like, it's going to be interesting to see what happens and see who falls where. I'm really interested to see about it. And
the running backs too.
Yeah, because you have Shipley getting in the passing game, and then you've mentioned Montrell Johnson, and the preseason is going to be pretty big for these guys when we take a look at the backs and really all the positions. Because even when you look at the receiving position, like, unfortunately Marshall has been playing really well, got hurt. I'm not sure how hurt he is or the severity of it. We haven't heard anything, which is kind of a little concerning. Why we haven't heard anything.
Or it could be a good thing.
I guess you're right. Yeah, if it was something really bad, we would have heard something right away.
Yeah. Yeah, that was upsetting for sure. This Elijah Cooks kid. He's apparently turning heads, man. He's a big guy too, like 6'4", 215. Johnny Wilson better be looking over his shoulder because he's not doing what they thought he was going to do. And if they're keeping him strictly as like a blocking receiver, that Pascal role, then maybe Cooks is your dude. I mean, he's a much better player from a 50-50 ball perspective. Like he's making a strong case to make this roster. Because anything after wide receiver 3, like we talked about, is pretty wide open. You have right now I'm penciling in Marshall at 4.
Yeah.
And I'd probably have Cooks at 5.
Interesting.
I mean, Danny Gray is out of here.
Yeah, waived, injured in his waves, and then
caught me off guard, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that was surprising.
Because he was, I mean, he got number 80. He got a number in the 80s. He was on the team last year. You
were waiting for that notification where it was Darius Cooper so you could send it to me.
No, I am rooting for Cooper. But I was a little shocked that it was Gray. Of all the receivers, I was probably surprised the most that it was him.
Well, once we saw the notification of them signing, was it Ife Adeye?
Yeah.
You knew a receiver was gone. And then I was trying to think. I'm thinking, well, who are they getting rid of? Who could possibly go? I said,
it's going to be Brett Toth, to be honest with you.
Or that. Or one of the 700 tight ends they have on the roster.
One of the 13 tight ends. That one surprised me. It caught me off guard. And I think that, I don't know if that speaks more to him just not doing enough or the emergence of guys like Marshall and Cooks. Like maybe he reverts back to IR or goes unclaimed and they re-sign him and try to get him on the practice. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I think if you're waived injured, you can come up with a settlement, but then you can't sign for a period of time, I believe. Or if you waived injured, you can revert to be on IR, but if you're on IR, you're out for the year.
Right.
You can't come off it.
Which I don't know why you agree to that if I were him. Because it's a finger injury. It's not like he like pulled the hammy off the bone or something. Like he's most likely going to be ready for the season, which is why I'm a little confused by that move.
Yeah, because when you look at the receiver, of course you have Johnny Wilson, like the backups. I'm not talking about the top 4 guys we just mentioned, but Johnny Wilson, Anais Smith. You have Elijah Cooks. Avery Williams is slated as that. He's more of a kick returner, but I guess they haven't been in that role.
I'm interested to see that, though. I'm interested to see where he pops up because, like, if you're doing the 53, where are you slotting him in?
Yeah,
he's making the team.
I understand the Anais Smith because they drafted him in the 5th round, and Johnny Wilson was a 6th round pick. But like, if you look at Johnny Wilson, Anais Smith, Elijah Cooks, Avery Williams, Darius Cooper, Giles Jackson, Ife Adeye, and Taylor Morin, like the competition for 5. If you keep 6 receivers, which I would think they would. That's just my opinion on that.
If you're counting Avery Williams as a receiver, I think they go 6.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out because a really good camp like Cooks is having, and then a really good preseason, if one of these other guys steps up, could really pave the way for them to make the roster because, it all depends on that. So it's going to be interesting to see. Where that all comes into play. But
again,
also
this goes back to the practice squad.
Yeah,
right.
It does.
You could keep 2 or 3 receivers on the practice squad and call them up as needed, like Danny Gray all last year. Maybe
we should make a bet. How about we make a bet here? I got a bet for you.
All right.
Now I'm hoping of a number change, but if Darius Cooper somehow makes the 53. Goes to practice squad and gets activated sometime in the year. If he makes the 53, I'm getting a Darius Cooper jersey.
Okay. What's the bet that you're going to get a Cooper jersey?
I'm going to get a Darius Cooper jersey.
Okay.
Now,
are you going to get it? Are you going to get an OG 41, or are you going to hope for a number change?
I'm going to hope for a number change, but if he doesn't, which I would think he changed the number. If he doesn't change the number, I got to go with that.
Yeah. All
or
right.
maybe buy a Ronald Darby jersey and get it a number 41 Darby jersey and
There
get
you
it
go.
changed to. Not that there's many of those even around.
There you go. I
But
forgot he was 41.
Remember, the most obscure jersey I have seen so far has been a number 80 Jabbar Gaffney.
That's pretty solid. He was unstoppable in Madden, by the way, Jabbar Gaffney. All right. So Cooper jersey, if he makes the 53, something tells me you're not going to get a new jersey. I wouldn't be surprised to see him make the practice squad, but I think, in my opinion, again, it's week 1 of training camp, but like I think those top 5 are pretty low.
How about this? That's me. If Montrell Johnson makes the Eagles roster,
hell yeah,
you have to get a Montrell Johnson jersey. So it's
okay,
there's our bets.
or vice versa.
We have to get each other. I have to get
Montrell's my guy. So if he makes the roster, you have to get it. If Cooper makes it, I have to get a Cooper jersey.
But I like Darius Cooper. I'd want to get. That means I have to get 2 jerseys.
I'll give it to you.
Okay. All right, deal. That's a good deal.
I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out offline. But no, I like that. I think the odds are more in my favor, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll see with it. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. Next week we're going to go over a lot of what's going on and everything. We'll get more in depth, of course, more news notes, and of course it'll be a preview of what we want to see with the first preseason game being the next day, that Thursday night against the Browns. I may just come on and do a post-game recap because I will be here. The kids and family go off to the beach, so I will have some free time. So I may just pop on.
My kids will be at the beach too. Let's do it.
Maybe we'll do a little post-game recap.
It also happens to be early access Madden Day for all those who celebrate.
So you'll be up late.
Big day. I'm not going to bed. I took off on Friday. I'm not going to bed.
I'm off on Friday too. So hey, that's
okay. Well, that's awesome. I'm excited I'm excited to watch the Hall of Fame game. Like
I know that's tomorrow.
Again, the sicko in me just catch a couple, get my fix right. Get a couple series.
That's exactly what it is.
It's bad. But yeah, I'm excited to just see football back. Next week should be fun. See these guys battling it out. Some of these guys for their careers. Some of them may never play football again. So remember that when you guys are watching these games. Like these are these kids' dreams. They're working their asses off. Some of them may get hurt and never play again. Some of them may make a Hall of Fame career. So just keep all of that in mind when you're watching this and you're saying, "Oh, it's just a preseason game." These kids work their entire lives for this. So, give them a little bit of slack, a little bit of respect.
The great part is they have the UFL now, which is great because we're seeing some players get signed, getting more opportunities, get more playing time there.
Yeah.
And it's great to see that league, doing well in terms of developing some players, letting players play and work on their craft, get better, and have the more repetitions. It's great to see, and some of those players that are making it.
Didn't Aubrey come from the UFL?
Aubrey came.
The Cowboys, yeah.
Kavante Turpin was he won the MVP, I believe, of the UFL or XFL, whatever the hell it was at that point.
He's in some legal trouble, but good story regardless. Yeah, no,
there's
really
a number
cool.
of those.
Really, really cool. I love that.
Yeah, it's great to see. But as we always end it here, we will talk to you next week. And make sure you're following, you're subscribing. Everything's down at the bottom there. All our social channels. Make sure you check us out. If you have any questions or concerns or anything, hit us up, DM us. We're always available. We love the input. We love when people give us some suggestions and everything like that. Everyone is able to improve no matter how good you think you are. You can always get better. So we're always open to suggestions. With that, as we always do it, we say these very special two. Oh, you started early. These very special 2 words. Go Birds.
This is Matt Ware. Hey, for all the Eagle content you need, go follow All About the Birds. They do a damn thing. Check them out.
Hey Eagles fans, I may be in Tampa, but I know where to find the best Eagles content out there. Check out my friends at All About the Birds.
Philadelphia, what's up? This your boy Freddie Mitchell, aka Fred X. It's all about the bird.
All birds all the time. All birds all the time.
All About the Birds provides you with weekly analysis, game recaps, informative interviews, and it's all birds all the time.